Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Final Fantasy playthrough. I am here with my very good friends Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Ben Shapiro.
I am so excited to finish up the game today with my best friends here.
In case the viewers aren't aware, we put all of our differences aside in the last video, so we don't anticipate having any problems from this point on.
I think that's a very good sentiment to have. I would like to say that it's best if everyone has watched the previous 6 parts in the series for full context on our videos, especially the last one, as it will show all of our hardships and victories we've had throughout this journey.
Honestly, I'm happy we've buried the hatchet. I know that isn't always easy to do, especially since we politically can be very different, and even our ages are quite far apart for the most part.
What's important is that we've moved past that and developed a unique friendship that's been brought together and shown in video format while still providing entertainment to others.
That sounds very correct, and as tradition, Barack, will you do the honors of explaining what we will be doing in this final video for the series?
I would love to. We've entered the same place as we did in the first video where we fought Garland, except since we've restored power to the crystals, now we're able to access the rest of the area and are able to finish the game since there aren't any other places to go after this is done.
That sounds very good. It is a bit of a shame we won't be going through that special area that was put in the Game Boy Advance version of the game, but I suppose that's all right.
It does give its own unique reason to get the different versions of the game depending on how you look at it.
You know what? Since we're such great friends now, I think we should take the time to say great things about each other, Joe. Have I mentioned how much I enjoy having you as a president?
No, actually, it's usually mentioning something about me putting other countries as a priority, or telling me about how I'm not keeping the border secure when you didn't build the wall like you said.
Oh yeah, well, I'd like to take the time to say, after thinking about it for a while, that you have actually been doing much better than I thought. I predicted the entire country would have been burned to the ground, but that hasn't happened yet. So that must be good.
Thank you, Donald, and I must say yours was not a catastrophic mess, so that is also an accomplishment.
It was definitely an accomplishment, if I do say so myself. Ben, I have watched some YouTube videos of your speeches at college campuses, and although a lot of the moments are quite bad, you were never the cause of that, since you're always very fast on your feet with the epic comebacks.
I always make it my goal to show my superiority whenever I'm visiting people who are less educated than myself, which is nearly all people.
Yeah, you really show those people in their early 20s who's the master of owning people, just like we just destroyed that Death Eye that wasn't even a challenge.
Very true, and how can I forget about you, Barack? I must say your book that is just your face on the cover was very insightful.
Ah yes, writing A Promised Land was one of my best personal successes besides the whole presidency thing, so I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I don't know if I've said it enough, but I'm very glad we get to have this adventure together. And knowing we'll be playing another game in the series later on is even better. So I'll know I won't be alone when it comes to enjoying games and entertaining anyone who watches.
I'm glad you feel that way, Joe, and even though you and I have nothing in common really, you are a great addition to our team, and I'm satisfied with your contributions to us in and out of the game.
That makes me so happy that I want to tell one of my stories again. Is that okay with you all?
I'm hesitant to say yes, but at the same time, I have at least some faith it won't be so awful.
Okay, here it goes. There I was walking down the street one day when I decided to go to the grocery store. I had just won the presidency and treated myself to some apple juice to stock in the White House for when I get thirsty and some wine for the night as I was celebrating with Barack later that night. Then I passed by the local elementary school and felt so generous that I wanted to give them something. I didn't have my limo with me, so I had to borrow one of my friend Jeffrey Epstein's white vans and told the kids to get in and take what was in there. The only thing is I forgot all of the wine that was in there, so they took that by mistake. And all of the apple juice was left in my front seat. And that was the story of how I got banned from the local elementary school. So what did you think of the story?
Oh yeah, Joe, that was a very riveting story. I was on the edge of my seat.
It's a thought-provoking tale in many ways.
It made me proud to be an American.
Oh, I'm so happy you all enjoyed it. I can tell so many stories like that if you want.
Yeah, sure, but on a more important note, this orb is special, as we will be running into 4 of them to rebattle the elemental archfiends again.
I'm honestly not that interested since we already did this. I'm just going to look at Ben's review of my book that he posted on Daily Wire. I've been so excited since I know he said he would in the last part.
Actually, you don't have to do that.
Hey, what's this? Why the Art of the Deal is the Tragedy of the 20th Century by Ben Shapiro.
I was really hoping you wouldn't read that.
After Donald desperately sent his book to me after hours of convincing me that his book is worth reading, I decided to do my charity for the year and skimmed through it. Nothing could have prepared me for how unimportant this book is. Apparently, getting 6 bankruptcies wasn't important enough to get its own chapter, and neither did his copious amounts of eating. This book made me want to live less, and you should not seek it in any format. The most enjoyment I had was throwing it into the fireplace so I could be warmer.
I only speak the truth. I have no regrets.
Hey, I thought it was very informative and will help me with my decision to not buy the book.
Nobody asked you, Sleepy Joe. Your presidency is as illegitimate as Barack's birth certificate.
Shut up,
and
you Oompa
probably
Loompa.
don't even know how to read.
That's not very kind, and I've been able to read for a good 5 years now.
Joe, that is not good at all. You should have been able to read much closer to your birth. But in all fairness, I can understand how cave paintings were difficult to decipher since that's all you had access to.
Can we please focus back on the game we were doing so well with our friendship and it's all falling apart?
No, I think it's a much better use of my time to focus on Ben's terrible review for an excellent book that he just didn't understand, because I didn't originally post it on Daily Wire, his site that nobody on planet Earth would ever subscribe to. Otherwise, he would have loved it.
Hey, I haven't even mentioned Daily Wire, my website where you can get all sorts of exclusive content from Very.
Yes, we know your stupid website that nobody but you cares about. You mention it every day. We get it.
I thought you wanted to keep us together, but I guess that's not correct after all.
When practically every other sentence is an advertisement, it gets a little bit irritating if you can imagine that.
You know what, while we're at it, I never actually read your book, Barack, and I bet nobody else has either.
Okay, you know what, Donald? No more mediating for me. Your presidency was almost as bad as your hairline.
Fake
And your
news.
ego is the only part of you that's larger than your gut.
Just as usual, nobody asked for your input, but you give it anyway.
Hey, that's not very nice of you to say. We shouldn't be acting like this.
Oh, would you look at that? Joe decided to actually be awake now. What a surprise. I'm surprised you've made it this far in the video without dosing off 6 times.
I was going to tell you all another one of my stories, but maybe I won't share it if you're going to be arguing so much.
Oh no, Joe isn't going to tell one of his terrible stories where literally nothing good happens. Whatever are we going to do with our lives now?
I'm sorry, Ben. Do you have some special story you want to tell us about, or do we have to subscribe to your site first?
You can subscribe to D's Nuts Joe, and yes, for a mere $13.99 per month, you can gain access to many informative videos about
How your wife regrets getting married to her husband who brags about his accomplishments more than they're worth.
That must sound bad, but thankfully you won't have to worry about that since you're married to a man and we all know it.
That is blatantly false, and you know what? That's just more right-wing propaganda that you and your followers share.
Nah, Barack, he's definitely right about that. I never noticed you refer to her as a lady.
Her title was literally First Lady, and not like you would have known you were too busy sleeping or eating ice cream, and that took up 90% of your time as vice president. I could have put Elmo in your spot and gotten more things done.
You should have put Elmo in, as he wouldn't have been sniffing children's hair at least.
Or maybe I should have put in the Cookie Monster, since then he and Donald could have a competition of who gets the most eaten in 20 minutes, since he already swallows them whole every day as it is.
Is anyone going to mention the fact that we're almost at the next boss fight in a moment?
No, I have to defend my honor against his slanderous claims that I don't eat healthy items, and then defend my title against the Cookie Monster to show him why the Call Me Donald Cookie Master Trump.
Literally, nobody has called you that.
You know what? I think I have something that will break the tension. I mentioned in the last video I would help Donald enhance his campaign against Joe. So I'm going to give one of the early drafts from my speeches I was going to present.
This better be good or I'm suing.
Donald is widely known in the world for his wide vocabulary of words to describe people and things such as huge, horseface, kavfef, and many other things you have never dreamed of. If I had $1 for every time he's told me that he won the election when he had no proof, then
Fake
I could
news.
pay for the wall myself. He actually is someone who, despite what he claims, has no friends,
Fake
only
news.
people who haven't sued him, plead guilty of a crime that happened while working with him, or a combination of the two. He may have lost the last election by 7 million,
Fake
but
news.
if you cast a vote for him, then he might only lose by 5 million next time. Barack out. And that's the part where I make my exit while dropping the microphone.
Wow, that was a great speech. I think I'm going to vote for him now.
How was that the message you got?
Doesn't matter, Joe finally got his first cognitive brain function in about 80 years. So that's what matters anyway. Your speech is terrible and you're off the campaign staff for my rallies. I'll hire someone else who would do it like Mike Pence.
Wait, why would he do it? I thought your followers wanted to hang him at the Capitol.
Come on, we all know he would come crawling back to me if I asked.
Okay, fair enough. You're probably right on that one.
Fine, you definitely won't need my help to lose, since unlike you, I haven't lost an election.
I think they just really wanted me as vice president, and that's why they voted for us.
I was clearly the reason, and definitely not you. I'm surprised I even won when the people heard you were anywhere on the ballot.
Yet I got more votes in the 2020 election than you did, so maybe I'm right.
Factually speaking, Joe, or as I call it for myself, regularly speaking, since the amount of people increases each year, there are going to be more voters in general, so there will be more total votes. If we are judging which president would be the best based purely on votes, then, by that logic, George Washington is the worst, since there were so fewer people in that election. So that way of thinking is fundamentally flawed, just like you.
Oh, here we go, everyone. It's Ben back to spout a bunch of long sentences that make him sound smarter than he is, because what else would he do with his time?
If you're going to be like that, then I retract my offer to have you on my website, Daily Wire. I really shouldn't have offered it at all, since you would likely bore everybody, and then I deserve to have no subscribers.
Oh no, I'm not going to be on your website. Whatever will I do? It's not like I'm the president or anything, since that usually gets a few people watching my speeches, but I'll try to get over this terrible loss.
That's almost as big of a loss as the Kraken just had since we beat him really quickly, right, guys?
Don't distract us from the main focus on showing you all that I'm the superior argumentative figure here.
What are you talking about? This video's title is called U.S. Presidents Play Final Fantasy Part 7. Finale. Not U.S. presidents fight each other while the game happens in the background.
Okay, maybe you're right. For the sake of the viewers, I will attempt to focus on the game a little bit more.
Honestly, I have not been focusing on the game so much since we started getting at it a few minutes ago. Can you give a quick recap on what's happened?
Sure, we collected a few items, but more important, fought the Lich, Marilith, and Kraken again. Though we're pretty good at getting through the regular enemies, so they barely caused any issues. Tiamat will probably be the same, but first we're going to get a powerful sword that will help us a lot in the next few fights.
I just saw we picked up the Masamune. Is that what you meant?
That is what I meant. This will be going to Donald, so Joe will get a chance to use the Excalibur that we got at the end of the previous part.
I appreciate it, but is the Masamune actually weaker than the Excalibur?
No, I'm pretty sure it's actually a little bit stronger. Not that it means much, since we're so close to the end of the game. There's only 2 important fights, and I'm sure Tiamat isn't going to give us much trouble.
I guess that's okay. I don't want to complain about getting the second most powerful item, so I'll be fine with what I have then.
Well, yes, that's true. But the main reason was because I don't know if you'd be able to use the strongest weapon well, as you are a bit senile and might have its strength go to waste.
Okay, what is with you and calling me senile? Obviously, it couldn't have been that bad since you let me be vice president for 8 years, so if I'm senile, then you're also at fault for supporting it.
Yeah, you get him, Joe? I love it when Democrats fight each other.
If you're going to be like that, Barack, then I am uninviting you to the White House to talk about Final Fantasy. You can find somewhere else to spread your useless knowledge.
Who are you to tell me about useless knowledge? It's not like anybody here needs your stories that last an eternity. And nobody has ever praised for being even slightly good. If there's one thing you're good at, is giving information nobody wants.
My stories are the best, and you know it, Barack. Speak up if you think my stories are great to listen to. Oh no, it's okay. One at a time, please.
Joe, your stories are somehow the only thing about you that's worse than your presidency. And that's saying a lot. If you just never spoke again, that would be fantastic.
What would be fantastic is if you stopped eating Big Macs so often, but I think McDonald's would go into bankruptcy just like you, so perhaps you can give it to the more needy instead, not like you've ever done anything charitable before.
Can you string together a set of words that actually make sense, please? You really are falling apart here.
Oh, hey, Ben, I forgot you were even here. I'm surprised you didn't leave to go check the statistics of your Daily Wire site. But then again, the viewership is probably at 0, so it's not like you'd be gone all that long.
My site is much more popular than that, and just for saying that I'm ordering a copy of your book online right now, it'll go really well as toilet paper, since that would be a better use for it than actually reading what you wrote.
I'm sure it's better than the right side of history. Nobody's even heard of that book before this moment right now?
Guys, I might be wrong, but aren't we almost at the last boss fight? I'm pretty sure we need to focus up instead of fighting. I know I shouldn't be talking since I've contributed to it a lot today, but if there's one time we can't just use auto battle, it's now.
You're right, Joe. I suppose our group isn't as flawless as it was earlier in the video, but it's time to take down Garland and make Cornelia great again.
Yeah, I think we all got a little carried away, and because of that, we were able to get by against the elemental archfiends, but we have to work together now.
You're all right. It's time we show Garland, the guy we haven't even seen since the beginning of the journey, why we were chosen to be the warriors of light.
I think it was because we pressed new game and that's how we were chosen.
Shut up, Joe. That's not what he meant.
Wait, are we back in time? When was that established?
I don't think it really was, but not that it really matters for the actual gameplay.
It really doesn't, but all that matters right now is making sure Garland never accomplishes his goals in the present and future.
I'm pretty nervous right now.
I'm not.
Get ready.
It's
Time to knock him down.
Down.
Okay, guys, I'm not quite sure what we should do. Any suggestions?
You're never sure of what to do, but I got out my strategy guide again just for this moment. But since Barack is knowledgeable about this game, maybe we won't need it.
He can do a lot of damage really quickly, so protecting us is going to be the first strategy. We'll do that with Ben. Donald and Joe are going to use physical attacks for most of the time, while I'll use my best magic against him.
Ben, this time make sure that we're all healed a reasonable amount, while Barack can use haste on me to increase my overall damage.
With attacks like that, it's good we have a healer. And plus, 2 characters with maximum health does make things easier.
Even with this, he's still getting a lot of damage on us. I think we'll need to keep healing and maybe use some elixirs and full lives if it gets really bad.
I think you're right, but thankfully we're not there quite yet, so we have some time before we really have to start worrying.
That cyclone did a lot to us. I'm not sure if Ben's healing is able to keep up if he does that every turn.
Hey, since we have auto battle on again, it seems like it'll be fine to hit him with a few roasts. Mind if I step in?
Yeah, I think it'll be okay for a little while.
Will do. Hey, Garland Chaos, whatever your name is, you have 4 faces even your mother wouldn't love. I hope you go to sleep and don't wake up in the morning. You live alone in this castle 2,000 years ago because you are literally so awful that nobody wants to be alive at the same time as you. You're unlovable. If I had $1 for every time I wanted you to be in the same room as me, I would have $0. This whole area is breaking apart into the void because your ugliness is tearing away the fabric of space and time. I've got one more. Your mother was talking to me last night, and she wanted the Daily Wire from me, and she didn't mean my website. Get wrecked.
I don't know if that ended up helping anything, but we're not losing, so I suppose it didn't make us worse.
Yeah, I probably could have come up with better roasts in my sleep, which I do frequently.
We already know, but more importantly, I think now we're at a position where Ben can use Holy, as none of us are about to die, but we'll reassess later if we need to.
It does feel good that we're not losing at this point since he's still doing a lot of damage. I think if we keep this up, we'll be able to finish him off without much more difficulty. At least the whole battle isn't automatic like most other ones in this place have been.
We're getting kind of low on health now. I think healing would be better at this point, despite the damage we're doing to him. Besides, Holy hasn't been doing as much as the other attacks.
As much as I don't want to admit it, you're probably right. I'll get that healing up in just a moment.
My instincts are telling me we should have healed earlier instead of attacking, since he's going to have more attacks that hit all of us.
If you mean that one, then you're right.
All right, good night, everybody. Time to go to sleep. I'm sure you can handle him from here.
No, Joe, unlike that other fight that you were turned to stone, this is a team effort. You may do less damage than I do, but you still have some value in here. I'm not sure where exactly, but it's around somewhere.
I'm going to use a full life spell on you, and then you'll be back up like it was nothing.
For now, Donald and I will keep the attacks going to make sure Chaos knows we're not holding back, just because one of us is down.
Oh, hey, guys, I'm back up. Did I miss anything important at all?
Not really, but getting you back up was more of a minor inconvenience than a major issue that crippled us.
Barack, are you doing what I think you're doing?
I'm hitting him with my Barack Blizz, Aga, again. It's been a while since I've done that to anyone.
I think we're almost done. He can't have that much more left to him, I imagine.
We're in a pretty good position, so there isn't much more we can do besides keep attacking like we have been.
It's been a fun time, everyone, but I think now is when we should finish off the last battle of the game.
You're right, everyone, Chaos. Consider yourself officially knocked down.
Does that mean we won?
Yes, Joe, obviously we won, mostly thanks to us. I mean, me primarily, but I guess you all helped out.
Before this is finished, I will say we did decide to speed up this ending scene, since the normal speed of the words are much slower than they are even now.
The time loop was severed at last.
The endless struggle that raged over Hunter Biden's substance problems has not ended.
Okay, that cannot possibly be what it said.
You're right, Joe, but the important part is we have overcome our journey and saved the world. I'm proud to have made it with all of you, even though there were some missteps along the way, more with each other than the actual challenges in the game.
I was able to prove my epic roasting skills.
I've been able to tolerate all of you a little bit more than I did when we started.
I stayed awake for most of the game time, or at least I think I did.
Not the best lessons I was hoping for, but I suppose that will have to do. As mentioned before, the next time we go into the series, it will be Final Fantasy IV. That will probably be coming out in a few weeks after this comes out, or if you're watching this far into the future, then it's already been out for a while.
Make sure you subscribe to Daily Wire Plus when you can. There's lots of great content there if I haven't mentioned it yet already.
No, actually, you should subscribe to President Central since that's where you can watch these videos.
Oh yeah, I guess you can subscribe there too if you want.
Thank you all for watching. It's been a great time, and that will only continue even further into the future.
Yeah, make sure to vote for me in 2024, like, comment, and subscribe.
No vote for me instead.
Keep supporting the creators you watch when you can, not just us.
And with that, the game is done. Peace out, people.
But seriously, vote for me.